So my topic is something has to break. And you know when people say the message and the mess, the blessing and the lesson, the beauty and the pain, and more things like that I can't remember right now. We always make emphasis on the message, the blessing, and the beauty. We never talk about, we always talk about the good things, and we don't understand the importance of that mess, that process. We don't pay attention to what you go through to get that blessing. We always see something good is happening, I'm gonna get something amazing, but we always forget that something has to break. So that's what my topic is, something has to break. You know, I've said this 1,000 times, and I'm gonna keep saying it. I believe that the reason many people never reach greatness is because they underestimate the process of becoming great. You know, I used to say that not everybody has to go through something to become great, but that's not true. You may not have some tragic life story. You may not be repeatedly rejected. You may not be an underdog, but everyone has to work to be great. One thing I've learned in the 5 years I've been doing what I do is that no matter how naturally what you have comes to you, no matter how much you love what you do, you still have to work for what you do. It's still not easy. There's still a process. I can't tell you the amount of times I've wanted to give up, throw in the towel, raise my white flag. Because people always see the result. They always see the product. But every product has a process, and it's never easy. It's like they say that beauty is pain, well, success is sacrifice. And if you don't sacrifice what you want will be the sacrifice. In my opinion, it's so much easier to be a failure because when you're on the bottom, you don't need motivation. You don't need effort. You don't need the drive. You don't need concentration. You don't need determination. It doesn't take anything to be a failure, but it takes everything out of you to be great. It takes everything out of you to stay great. Because there's always another level to reach. There's always another door to enter. There's always another obstacle to cross. There's always people behind you reminding you that you need to move forward. There's always people reminding you that life keeps going and you have to keep going too. But it's so easy to be a failure because when you're behind, you don't have anybody to remind you how far you've fallen. There's this movie we watched on Christmas Eve, and my dad, he wanted us to watch it, and he was so excited. And usually when my dad is excited, he tends to over-exaggerate, so you never really know if it's worth it. But we decided to humor him this time, and we watched it. And it was King Richard, and I'm not going to spoil it, but what an impactful movie it was. There's one thing I learned from it, is that you should always have a plan. And when you have a plan, you should stick to that plan. And you should know that in that plan, you will have to sacrifice. And sometimes it might not always look amazing. It might not look like everything is going right. But if you have a plan, stick to that plan. And know that you'll have to sacrifice for it. And it's not the kind of sacrifice where you're still, you're still calm. Everything looks fine. It's the kind of sacrifice where people around you are asking you, why are you doing this? Why are you putting yourself through this? Where everyone else is doubting you. Where are you even trying to doubt yourself? It's the kind of sacrifice that takes something out of you, but it's the kind of sacrifice that makes an impact. One thing I've noticed is that to be great, you either have to have something else so everyone else doesn't have, or you either have to not have something everyone else does have. Does that make sense? You have to be different somehow. So I just want to ask everybody, going into 2021, ask yourself, what makes me different? Why should they look at me? Why am I uncommon? What do I have to do to be different? Because if you have something everyone else has, it's just a common. If you don't have everything, this is confusing me. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. You just have to be different somehow. You have to know that there's a reason that people are being held back. You have to know that there's a reason that people are being hindered. And you have to know that you have to break out of that. You have to know that something has to break for a breakthrough. Now, I don't know what you're sacrificing, and maybe your time, your money, your energy, your leisure. There's a period that every great person goes through. And it seems like a very painful period, a period that makes you question everything you've ever known. I like to call it the breaking period. I like to call it the pressure before the praise, the shaking before the making, the beating before the blessings, the grading before the greatness, the breaking before the breakthrough. I've heard people use this for the eagle. They use this term because when the eagle reaches its 40s, and if it wants to live another 30 years, it has to go through this process, and a very painful process for 150 days. So it goes to the top of a mountain and repeatedly hits its beak on that mountain until the beak breaks. And then it waits for the beak to grow back, and then uses that to pluck off all its feathers and waits for that to grow back. And then it waits another 5 months until it flies to be that great owl we know it, great eagle we know it to be. But it went through a process. Nobody sees that process. Everybody just sees the great eagle. Also, let's take women, for example. During pregnancy, women go through nausea, fatigue, bloating, back pains, to say the least, for 9 months. And during this period, people might ask you, why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you doing this to your body? Such great pain. And they say, is this worth it? You might ask yourself sometimes, is this worth it? But it's not until those 9 months are over. And then your water breaks and the greatness comes through that you say, thank God, it was worth it. Through the pain, through the process, you can doubt. And you will doubt. In fact, people will doubt for you. But it's not until that greatness comes out and you look back and say, truly, something has to break. Hallelujah.